Tada! Hi. The 25th year is upon us, and today we're going to talk about this year's program because it will be quite a journey. We still have a lot to cover, so there's plenty to discuss. That's why the theme of the 25th year is the focus of our meeting today. We still have a large part, so there is something to talk about. And that's why the theme of the 25th year is the focus of our meeting today. I thank everyone who came because these are most likely the people who understand the topic of human design, those who studied with us or those who studied somewhere else. For those who understand deeply or for those who are completely new and know nothing about human design, that's perfectly fine too. Because today I will be speaking in a way that caters to both. I will be speaking from the perspective of human design and of course from the perspective of genetic keys, which is my favorite topic. So today we will synthesize these themes and discuss what this year has in store for us. The 25th year, because it has just barely begun from the perspective of the rave year, from the perspective of human design just a month ago. This is the very year. We're going to talk about the program for... So, who am I going to be? This includes speaking the language of human design. And for those who have studied these systems, of course, the knowledge of this year regarding the programs we have in store will be unpacked to a greater extent for them, as they will be unpacking it through their understanding of human design. And whoever was on the basic courses, this will be unpacked from the basic depth. And for those who have attended advanced courses, there will be a deeper understanding revealed. And this is really a guide for how to navigate this year. And this year, to put it simply, is about the fact that one cycle has ended and another cycle is beginning. This new cycle is also part of the overall cycle of change and epochal shifts. We are living in a time of significant changes. And to put it bluntly, that's what the 25th year is all about. This is one of the completions of cycles, this overall cycle of transition. And actually, if we want to talk about the 25th year today, I will often mention the theme of de-densification, lightness, and air. Imagine that vibe, lightness, air, de-densification. And now imagine the polar opposite of this: heaviness, density, heaviness. So, this will be the main theme of our broadcast today, talking about the 25th year. And now we will talk in detail about what this lightness is and what this heaviness is, what themes it encompasses, how to act, what the voice of this era is, and what the sequence of events is. This is all part of the topic we will be discussing today. We're starting very briefly, but first, of course, a greeting to everyone who has joined us. I think there are a lot of our students here. By the way, for those who are not yet our students and don't know about topics like human design and gene keys, you're missing out on a lot. Understanding yourself and living this life happily is all about that self-awareness and embracing your nature, leading to a joyful and peaceful life. And even in these epochal times, when one era is changing into another, if you still don't know about the topic of human design and yourself, you should know about it. So on March 20th, we will start the basic course, and we haven't conducted this course in this format yet, even though this will be the 26th launch of it. In this course, we will study the human design system and gene keys, focusing on understanding ourselves, our environment, and the people around us. Moreover, in this program, we will be certifying all students at an international level, because everyone will receive international registration, so that no matter where they are on the planet, and suddenly deciding to delve deeper into this topic, they already had a certificate that they had completed the basic course of this very international system. So we will conduct this course according to international standards and will issue international registration and international certificates of standard quality. And what's more, since we're doing this for the first time, we've lowered the price a bit. The cost of the course is for those who want to gain knowledge of human design and receive an international certificate to be part of this international community. Today we will learn that the theme of community, which is also a theme for the 25th year, is connected to the Black Moon. It is our driving force of this year. And so being part of this community, studying human design and understanding all the processes in yourself and all of this for a reasonable price, that's exactly it. March 20th, and write to us if you're really interested, because we will soon be announcing this course. And we will be actively announcing it. So for those who are really interested make sure to sign up by March 10th, because until March 10th, we have a reduced price and it's an even lower cost for this course, because we want everyone to learn about human design and start living as their true selves. We transformed those tensions in life into lightness, air, and love. because the topic of love will also be the theme of our broadcast today. A big hello to everyone who has joined. Katya, hi. Mark, hi. 62 people have joined. Toppling Design, Olga Go, another hello. I'm reading everyone here. So little by little, not in order, but rather selectively, because I see everyone, a big hello to all. I've really missed you all because, to be honest, and also I'm so glad to see you, I've really missed you. Ooh, to be honest, I've missed you too, because we had some live courses going on, the courses were finishing, and then we had webinars. We also did a series of webinars on composites, and we haven't finished the series on incarnation crosses yet. Also on March 9th, we will be wrapping up this webinar for those interested in incarnation crosses and purpose, so come join us. The webinar turned out great, and then we plan to do a webinar on pentas. These are connections of people from 3 to 5 individuals. As soon as we connect from 3 to 5 people, right away I'll say that our body graphs start to play out differently. Some expressions emerge while others fade away. We'll be teaching this whole mechanics, this group dynamic, and we'll go through the formula of this group dynamic in the upcoming webinar on composites and pentas, which will be on March 15th. I'll be announcing that soon too. So that's it. So we have some innovations, we have these changes. And for those who are working on themselves in the area of design and thus are on a journey of self-discovery and moving towards self-love, these are all constant processes and also growing spiritually. And the topic of spirituality is also a topic 25 years. And so all these topics can be covered in the course Living Your Design. And who, I haven't done it yet, but I highly recommend it. I missed you too. Hello everyone. Sveta, Katya, hi. Good morning. Hi. I was waiting for this broadcast. I logged into Instu and it's been 25 years here. Yes, right now all our wishes are coming true. When we are in awareness, in understanding ourselves, living our true life, we don't lie to ourselves. A generator is not where it doesn't respond. It's not in those activities. And then everything works out for him and consequently all his desires are fulfilled too. Especially in this transitional time when everything is moving at such a fast pace, that's how it happens. This is fulfillment, some kind of natural dreams that are natural for you. They happen quickly, but either a person is in deep illusions, deeply false experiences of their nature, not living their true self everywhere. It's very tense and aggressive, both from an individual perspective and in terms of relationships. It's all very aggressive. Well, of course, his desires are absolutely not his truth. They are made up and come from the mind, and he, following with this wrong desire for himself, he certainly doesn't find that quick and easy fulfillment of his wishes because they are just false. You just need to correct yourself, and then those true desires will start to arise, and these true desires will quickly connect with the physical realm when they manifest physically. A person, as I often like to illustrate, when they are in awareness, they start to hear their desires like the sound of an approaching car. The car hasn't formed yet. It's still in the matter, meaning right now, it's just the vibe of that car. There are sounds, some people, and oh, the vibe is like they ran there or turned their heads. For now, there's a presence. Something is approaching, and the closer the car gets, the more detailed the understanding of that desire becomes, almost like a sequence of events. And when it's really close, you can almost sense it on an emotional level. You feel the approach of that desire, and the car is like, oh, desire, right there. Then he leaves, and there's still a vibe from all of that, and it really boosts you and helps you progress. This movement towards one's desires, and that's why these desires come through awareness. And when a person is aware, when they are true to themselves, then their desires are genuine. This is the progressive part of his life that drives him in this world. That's how everything comes true in this. So, in this monumental time, when one era is giving way to another, and that's why all the principles of the old era are quickly being replaced by new ones. If a person suddenly, if we're talking about a person, if they suddenly have such an intention, the simplest way to follow that intention is to have changes, even quantum changes. At this very moment, it's through knowledge that the simplest thing happens. You receive knowledge, apply it to your life. Since this knowledge is about you, applying it becomes very easy. Applied them, gave time for these knowledge too. That's the mechanics of it. Gave time for that knowledge to turn into habits and then into behavior, and that's it. And everything, it has changed. You've changed, everything around you has changed. So you look back after 3.5 years and think about that moment when you started gaining this knowledge and applying it. Well, for example, in human design, I attended a course like this until I was 20. Mark, you turn around like this. He's been here in style for 1.5 years. He's got some fucking surroundings. It's changed shit, a different body, different. So I think the motivation is different. Everything will be different because there are 4 or 3 points of transformation that happen when a person starts following their design. And we also teach these points of transformation in the course, Living Your Design. But that's not what we're talking about right now. Right now, it's about the year 2025. Good evening, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hello from Abkhazia. Hello, Abkhazia. Hello, Goa. Hello, Goa. So, hi, I'm from Krasnaya Polyana. Krasnaya Polyana, good day. Hello from Yekaterinburg. Yekaterinburg, I love you. This is my home nest. Masha, hello from Sochi. Sochi, hello. Hi, hi. Hello from Krasnoyarsk. I've never been to Krasnoyarsk, but I have a stylist friend there. Irina Kuznetsova. And Irina Kuznetsova, in general, it turns out to be a very interesting story. I actually live on an island. I live on an island, and one time a girl came to me for a consultation specifically on the island. She arrived, and she came to me from Krasnoyarsk. I found out about it when she had already come to me for the consultation, and we met in person here on the island, and we were blah, blah, blah about her design and all that. Anyway, our consultation went well, and we were sitting there drinking tea, and I asked her where she was from, and she said, I'm from Krasnoyarsk, said the girl who came for the consultation. I say, oh, wow. Well, my friend Irina lives in Krasnoyarsk. Well, like a friend, an acquaintance, we were there together somehow. When I was still doing fashion, we went together to Paris on this internship, and that's where we met. She is a fashion stylist in Krasnoyarsk. It was in 19, and then we lost touch, so I haven't heard from her in a long time, but it would be cool to see how she lives there because we really connected well. Then I think about it, well, I was looking back like I was already remembering her and how I put together her design. And she also has 464646 such friends. And in general, it's me and this girl who came to me for a consultation. And she says, you know, my acquaintance, I have a store that sells bright clothes, and Irina is a well-known stylist. Krasnoyarsk, everyone knows her from the antique clothing stores. And now I'm like, knock, 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 Irina, hi, she's over there sending a selfie, Irina, hi, and that's how we kind of reconnected, like, hi, Krasnoyarsk. So I went over there and left from that side. So it seems I have all my questions, but there's this one question here. Masha, hi, how is that certificate different from the one that was issued before? Who received the IHDS course certificate? It is no different. We just rebuilt the course a little, made it according to classical standards, made it according to international standards. We will conduct it as a classical course, just like Rauruhu came up with it. So about the certificate, for those who studied with us before, there were 2 types of students, those who studied with a certificate and those without a certificate. And before, this certificate that we will be issuing in this course was obtained for a fee separate. So that's why we decided to issue it to everyone, so that everyone is internationally certified. I will definitely join the course. Make sure to join, because I don't know if we'll do something like this again, but this will be the first course. So for now, here we are. We're doing the certification for free. Hello, package. Hello, bouquet from Kurgan. Hello, Kurgan. Hello. I was born in the Kurgan region, in the city of Dalmatovo. Then I moved to Yekaterinburg, where I met my partner, and that's where our children were born. And then we moved on. Hello, Germany from Shenolesi, Germany. Hello. Hello, everyone. And I'm slowly showing you what we'll be focusing on today. I created the body graph for the year 2025. And I'll tell you about it today. I'll show you all these numbers and we'll go through them together. I will be speaking, as I mentioned before, in the language of human design and the language of genetic keys. I have some hints. Now I'll remember where I put them. Why aren't you coming out? Awesome. Hints. I also brought myself along. And we're slowly So, as I already mentioned, I would call 2025 the year of unburdening, when the cycle ended, and starting from 2026, the next cycle begins in this epochal restructuring of all eras. So, final decompaction occurs in 2025. The result is completed. And this 2025 is very similar. If anyone knows about 2025 Gene Key, it's very similar. The theme of the 25th year is similar to the theme of the 25th Gene Key, the transition from shadows to gifts. It's as if we are going through this year as a lesson of the 25th Gene Key, how to move on to the topic of unconditional love, because unconditional love is that very decompression as the topic of this. The 25th year, essentially, it's about shedding ballast in order to rise into this different dimension, a different density where everything is different, where there are new principles, where there are new visions. And so the 25th year is like a year of what? So global unburdening of the main chapters of this global final transition. In the movement towards the 25th year, if we look at the general trends of the 25th year, we can see a story related to the channel. The 3536 channel is precisely the channel that serves as the main program for this year. This black story, this black bridge, is indeed the very channel 3536. If we look at this channel from the perspective of its type, this channel is an emotional manifestor. And that's why a person is an emotional manifestor, or this channel, whoever has it will definitely be either a manifestor or manifesting generator. This, of course, immediately describes to us the vibe of this year, and therefore the year will be emotional. And we, as a manifestor, will initiate in ourselves new themes to arrive at this new spirituality, this unconditional love, this unburdening, in order to live this next stage. And that's why such an emotional manifestor, and everyone will be like these emotional manifestors, and we with you. Remember that an emotional manifesto is a person who in the false self will be in great anger. And in emotional anger, he will either express this anger or he will burn himself inside with this anger. But anyway, an emotional manifesto is always in anger. And this means in the false one, this means that the nature of this manifest is not found in its situations where it can manifest. And so the theme of anger, especially if it's an emotional manifestor, will be emotional anger. This will be a theme of destruction for the manifestor themselves and their surrounding environment. And also, when such a manifestor lives in their design, they are in their situations. So, a person with the 3536 channel who is either a manifesting generator, or a manifestor, or all the people who are in the transit of this year, which itself, being the 3536 channel, is the year for an emotional manifestor. If everyone is living their design, then this 3536 channel is in emotional calm. And so this year, everyone will either experience emotional tensions and struggles, expressed outwardly as nervousness, or felt internally as inner nervousness and emotional stress. Or this will be another theme. It will be emotional calm. And this calmness will allow for manifesting, because the manifestor channel comes into play during the transit of the year. The 3536 channel will allow for manifesting, and within the person, emotional calmness. And since the channel is collective, it will also transmit this emotional calmness to the outside world, thus bringing both ourselves and other people to emotional tranquility. And so, it will either be an emotionally destructive year for both ourselves and our external environment, and our nervous system will be in shambles, because the 3536 channel has one foot in the theme of the emotional center. The emotional center is our central nervous system, which connects the emotional system and the digestive system. In short, it's the emotional system. And so these inner nervous tensions of this year on the 3536 channel will lead to the destabilization of the nervous system, or on the contrary, to the strengthening of the nervous system and its calmness. And then such a person can bring this calmness to others in the form of compassion and humanity. This will be the emotional component that will manifest from this person. there will be a manifestation of money, and he himself will move towards his progress. Because at 35, you, with your part 36, stand with your gates in the throat at 35, and that's about expression. Therefore, this experience of emotions leads us either to progress or to regression, because channel 35, 36, 35 is progress for us. In the gifts and in the shadows, it will be regression. And that's why we will all be experiencing emotions. So it's either these emotional nerves, or we will have emotional calmness, and this will lead either to progress or to regression. It is clear that emotional nerves are subject to regression. Emotional waves experienced correctly will lead to progress. And this will be the theme of the 35-36 channel as the main transit channel, reflecting the overall trend of this year. And what kind of emotional experiences will these be? They will come from the outside world, because the 36th is in the 6th line. This series of events will come from the outside world. The 35-36 channel is also the channel of fleetingness if we look at it through the lens of human design. So what is it like? Here is the series of events like this. Here the attraction will come from the outside world, because 36 is in the 6th line and 35 is in the 1st. So this series of events will personally influence each individual so that everyone experiences these emotions and moves towards progress. If we look at the 36th gene key, that's exactly what it's called. The becoming of a person happens during these very days of the 25th year through the experience of the emotional series of events that are present here. Being in this attraction, in these emotional swings, the becoming of a person occurs in order to unburden them and send them into that unburdened new world that we are gradually transitioning into. And this is happening at the level of the central nervous system. It is here that the themes of decompaction occur, which influence both decompaction and the compaction of all life, and consequently of the entire organism. This is the kind of emotional manifesto that came to us for this year, the 25th. We're all in this kind of attraction. So it's important to understand that following your strategy and authority will allow you to be in a place where you can also experience emotions. But these emotions will lead you to social and emotional calmness. And this emotional calmness will also be the foundation for what you can express. This emotional calmness will radiate into the outside world and bring compassion and humanity to others. And by becoming a person of the new era myself, I can help others become human as well. Of the new era. And so, yes, the nervous system is really taking a hit right now, but it's not just the nervous system. Today we will see that this transit also affects the mental system. And so the topic of psychosis, in the literal sense of the word, will be another powerful diagnosis that we will encounter in 2025. And so the topic related to depression, nervousness, and problematic nervous systems, or those who have this nervous system stable and share with others, bringing them compassion and humanity, and calms these nervous systems, as well as the topic of mental anxiety on the topic of psychoses and the topic. In the literal sense of the word psychoses, we will also meet this year, or conversely, the calming of the mental system. And on the contrary, such a balanced state of the mental system is one of the general trends for this year. Because if we really look at it, in the 24th year, there was a channel 5710, which was the channel of the spleen projector. And so there were a lot of themes related to spontaneity, a lot of quick things happening. It was a very adaptive year individually for everyone. About that 5710, and this year is not about money, not about the manifest, but this year is about the emotional manifest. And that's why we are all under emotional. We are dealing with these emotional themes as we move along this path. Here it is. So on this wave, in order to restructure and become less dense, and this many dimensionality with a lot of Narsati changes and transformations will happen specifically on a collective level, because channel 3536 is indeed collective. And there was kind of a shock in 2024 because the 51st was in the lunar nodes, that's shock. And the 57th was also in the lunar nodes. And this year, the 51st has moved out of transit and we're like, hooray, hooray, there won't be any shock. But the 25th, has come in. And we will meet the 25th today, which is our program. Innocence, and it is harmonious with the 51st. With the shock, in simple terms, the shock that happened in 2024 should work for everyone this year, either as the gift of the 25th gene key, acceptance, and coming to unconditional love. Well, I looked at all of this and was shocked in the 24th year. I restructured, became less dense, opened my heart to love, and here I am, reaching this. So, 25th, to acceptance and unconditional love. Either I was in shock that 24th year, the 51st and the 25th. This year, I came to, on the contrary, unconditional hatred, to closing off, on the contrary, to the heart. And so, on the contrary, to becoming less dense. So, the shock will go away, but this innocence, this trust will come. 25th. And there's also a general trend from the vibe of this transit. If you look directly at this transit, at the actual numbers, at the numbers after the decimal point, and for those who know human design, this is our theme of lines, you will see that there are a lot of sixth lines here. So the sixth line is about transition, and the slowest planets are at the bottom, right there. They are in the sixth lines. This indicates that we are currently completing one cycle in order to start another one, and in general. The sixth line represents role models. So the year of new role models will be 2025. The year of new role models. We also know, for those who studied in the course, that the 35-36 channels, sometimes when I teach those in our course, I give them very practical insights. Some channels have very practical topics. How to move from the false to the true, from shadows to gifts. This is the 35-36 channel. If someone has this channel, or during the year when this channel is active, they start moving towards awareness, because the 35-36 channel in its shadows represents a kind of unconsciousness, deep. It's about unconscious consumption. We will also see today how the shadows of this 2025 year manifest because of the unburdening. In total, we'll also see today how the shadows of this 2025 year manifest because of the unburdening. This is exactly the theme of awareness. Like, I'm taking into the new world only what is truly real, only what is real. Only what is truly real is correct, and I'm getting rid of all this ballast, all these cushions. These all themes related with accumulation. I'm getting rid of it. So by unburdening, I start in this world, and that's why. So the theme is awareness, and that's why channel 35-36, in a literal sense, transitions from shadows to gifts when it becomes very hungry for self-knowledge. Because basically channel 35-36 is hungry for emotions, and people with this channel, and this channel standing arc in this year's transit gives everyone the opportunity to be hungry for these emotions. So everyone will experience these emotions because they are under the influence of such programs. Channel 35-36 seems to have turned on for everyone to receive emotions. You all are channel 35-36. You are all hungry for emotions. And we all started to be in this emotional digestion. We began to be emotionally processed. This is the environment, and everyone will be cleansed from all of this, shedding that very ballast and moving into conscious consumption. And everything related to conscious consumption. There's conscious consumption of thoughts in the conscious experience of life, transitioning through it. And therefore, channel 35-36 is just that, the mechanics that help through self-knowledge to come to this. This is the awareness that must be reached through these gifts of channel 35-36. And therefore, the series of events will occur this year. It's precisely to see the meaning of what is happening only through high awareness or without awareness. On the contrary, to fall into the shadows of these emotional nerves, and of course, on the contrary, to fall into such density, into such tension, and of course, there will be no awareness, and only in the shadows. But we will see this now. Yes, I don't understand this experience of emotions. Of course, a new person is being born, and on a human level, a completely new society is being born as well. Moving forward, it's going to be quite a year. On a personal level, of course, this will be as I already said, an emotional year, and this is the theme of channel 3536. This is the theme of desires. And so this very year, when you look back at the end of the year, see how many wishes there are, what has been fulfilled for you this year, because the theme is desires, the fulfillment of desires. And on the contrary, the feeling of, I don't want anything at all, I'm just so anxious, will be the theme related to desires this year. And so channel 3536 is such an emotional manifesto. These are people who tend to blame others. And so on the level of gifts, it will be the fulfillment of desires. It's me fulfilling a desire with you. Or on the level of shadows, this channel 3536 will be experienced as, I don't want anything because of you. I have no desires because of you. There's no progress because of you. I'm just anxious. This is how the program of experiences will be lived out in a false self. And so, of course, on a personal level, this is how it will look. All right, let's dive into the story that's directly related to the body graph. And I will start, of course, with the sun and the earth. Although the point of starting with the sun and the earth is that these are the most important themes. Because when we read the transit of the year, the sun and the earth will always be present, 41-1. And in this year's transit, it's exactly the same story. Here are the sun and the earth, 41-1 and 31-1. The earth is at 31 and the sun is at 41. You know what it's called? Imagination and fantasies, you know what it's called. It's the money code. Manifestations. And so mixing these two stories, we understand that this is some kind of fantasy that began to manifest itself in the world, or to put it simply, some year began, some cycle. And so we don't look at the sun and the earth because essentially they describe the very mechanics of something new beginning to take shape, some kind of fantasy. And we will start by looking at the lunar nodes because the lunar nodes already describe the sequence of events. If we look at the lunar nodes, they are also encoded, and there are two codes. And 0.146, the gene key, and in general, for example, the 46 program is very much connected to the love of the body. And in fact, this will be the sequence of events that will unfold in the first half of the year because this is the south node. And the south node is always about the first half. If we're talking about the year's transit, then it's about the year's transit and its first half. So the sequence of events, it will be very closely related on a personal level for everyone because this is a personal story. And so the sequence of events in the first half of the year will depend on whether each person is acting out of love for their body or if they don't listen to their body at all. And all the inner authorities based on which we came to make decisions are all located in the body. For some, it's an emotional authority, and it's the work of their central nervous system. For some, it's a splenic authority, and then it's the work of their intuition. But nevertheless, all authorities are located in the body. And so if the 46th, as the theme of the lunar nodes, works in a person like in the negative, in the shadow program, like a lack of love for one's body, then they don't hear their body, they don't move into their sequence of events, and then the 46th plays out in this person's life as failure will be the shadows of the 46th gene key, like not hearing your body, being frigid in your own body, so they don't hear their body, and to move towards failure and to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. 46, this is our topic of the G center of the Aji center. For us, it is about the place. And so when a person has shadows of 46, he will simply be a failure because he is always in the wrong place. And no one, and not at the right time. And that's why the first part of the year will kind of push us through our life events so that we finally start listening to ourselves and tune into our inner authorities in the body, listening with our hearts and not with your mind. And they will push us in terms of failures and successes. And so these failures, like being in the wrong place, should definitely be seen as lessons so that we can ultimately start listening your inner authorities. 25.1%. This is the theme of the North Node. And the North Node describes to us a story related to the second half of this year as a series of events. And this is our theme of spirit. Well, as we mentioned today on the 25th, the program of love or lack of love for oneself, unconditional love or unconditional hatred. So here we also have the first line. And so this is about the personal process. And that's why those same nudges, Kay. In the first half of the year, it's about listening to your body and loving your body. And in general, taking care of your body. The 46th is literally about the body. It's all about matter. There's no more material program than this, not from the perspective of the Babas. And from an atomic perspective, there's no more atomic program than the 46th. It's all about the body. So for those who have the 46th in their body graph, loving your body in every sense is a must. Words are a prerequisite for your journey through life and being in the right place at the right time. And this is your formula for success. To love your body. And the 25th, it's also in the first line. So this is about ultimately arriving at this to love unconditional and to reveal your spirit and move according to the spirit in the second half of the year. If we speak in simple terms, what kind of events will happen where we need to be in the literal sense, so innocent, how to be like the 25th, in that unconditional love without limitations, with an open heart, so that you can make decisions and not get lost. Because the lunar nodes are all about orientation. And that's why, and these are the codes of the lunar nodes. And they read as, listen, love your body, listen to what it's telling you. It says, and be in the place where you can encounter those events, good, that will, of course, evoke emotional calmness in you. And can you express your spirit there? And to make this quantum leap to a new level and to become less dense, you are in the place where you are meant to be, either in the shadows, I don't love my body, I'm not in the right place, I'm constantly unlucky. And the 25th leads, on the contrary, to a series of events that, on the contrary, emotionally destabilize me. It shakes, and I come to the point where I close my heart and end up in the shadows. Unconditional hatred towards the black heart. If we look at what this line is called, in human design, it's like a gate with a line, and it's called to be an opening. And that's why it's a series of events in everyone's life to push them up, and suddenly finding themselves at the right time in the right place becomes an opening, and this happens on a collective level. And that's why to achieve success, that's the gift of the 46th. Pushing up means being in the right time at the right place and being an opening. This is exactly it. Time of the series of events. 46, that is a description of the settings in this very program. 25 years. Also, Cypher 1. This is also the code of these lunar nodes. And I'll read it again just in case someone has forgotten. Although it's hard to forget this by now, I've probably mentioned it 30 times already. About how the shadows and gifts of the 25th gene key play out, which also stands as a series of events, but for the second half or the second half of the 25th year. Unconditional love or unconditional hate. Innocence and acceptance or ignorance and rejection. Air, or on the contrary, heaviness. And then spirit and spirituality, or on the other hand, materiality. That's exactly it. The shadows and gifts of 25. And this is exactly the series of events on a personal level for each person in the second half of this year. And in one, this is the 4046. So ultimately, by the end of this year, this couple, which has emerged as a code, and will lead everyone through their personal series of events. At the end of the year, it's either a closing off from this world or an openness to this world. This is what global densification and global de-densification. In fact, if we move further along, well, okay, let's go further together. And now, let's move on to personal planets. This is our Moon, this is our Venus, Mars, and Mercury. Let's stop here for a moment. I'll now say what codes are in place. The Moon is our drive. What is driving us this year? Essentially, where will our constant focus be in 2025? This will be described to us by the Moon of this transit. Next, we will look at Venus. And Venus is basically about values and morality, or social norms. And so what social norms will exist in 2025 and how will they be violated? This will also be like the shadows of 25 from the two shadows of Venus. The shadows are what the program brought by Venus, because it brings us values and morals. And so the values of society, the morals of society, our social standards in this society will all be the theme of Venus. But we also play around with it on a personal level, because Venus is the program that acts on our personal background, the so-called personal planet Mercury. This will be the messenger of this year, meaning it will be on everyone's lips. And ultimately, we will move on to Mars, which is also a personal planet, and therefore it describes how we will act this year. Essentially, the principles of how to act this year will be described by Mars. So the Moon, where our daily focus is, when it is encoded Mars and Aswad. Let's go through all of this directly. So why don't we start with Mars? Mars, 62 power. How are we going to act this year? If we take a look, what is it called? From the perspective of human design, this story related to asceticism is written just like that. Now I will show you. If anyone has the I Ching book, we provide it in our human design courses. Here you can take a look at any activation. If you need to see what the code means, 62.4, and I'm going into gate 62. Here they are for me. I'm going into line 4. Here they are for me. I'm going into line 4. And here at the top it says asceticism. And that's why the active force and how we will act. This is a story related to asceticism. We just talked about how we are becoming less dense. Basically, we're getting rid of everything unnecessary, everything that pulls us down, everything that consists of old principles. These are more material principles. We are getting rid of old principles and we are moving into new ones. So it's about getting rid of this ballast, especially since this year, the theme of 62 is all about details. So the action is already in the details. We are already starting to cleanse ourselves in the details, because this is exactly what asceticism is about. When we reach awareness, we only take what we need. This is how we went to the island. We took just one suitcase each. Yura said, that's it, we're going to the island, we're taking just one suitcase each. We packed our whole life into that very suitcase. And that's how we became less dense and moved into completely different conditions. So basically, this is the mechanics that are happening. And here's the story. Mars. This action is already in the details, where you decide what to take and what to leave behind, where you are already cleansing yourself. This year, by embracing such asceticism, you're already removing that cushion. You're not accumulating anymore, but instead you're moving lightly. And this will be the lesson to move from these old principles of accumulation to what and with that cushion, you just can't be light and move in this new wind of a new era. And this kind of proper asceticism will be the movement. It will be the action, and it will be that Martian strong energy in this very year. Awareness in the details. Awareness in the details. Who, of course, is already practicing this by the year 2025? Who lives their strategy? And the authority who makes decisions based on internal anchors will, of course, start to clean up their false self. They won't be dragging it along in this 2025, but will instead be refining it little by little to become even less dense. And for those who are just starting to understand themselves, of course, those old principles are still very strong. They hang like shackles. That's why this year, through the knowledge of the 60-second, which is our logic framework, will allow us to reach awareness and leave behind that ballast from the old times. And not to be caught up in those old principles, but to already cleanse yourself in the details. And so being in awareness will be the power for change, since this is Mars. So Mars is definitely a force for change. Therefore, being in awareness, trimming off that excess to become less dense and enter a new world. This, of course, the story related to Mars. Next, we will look at Venus. Here we have Venus. This is our Venus. If we look at how Venus is referred to in human design, I'm turning back to that textbook again. This is a very graceful program. I call him an aesthetic, while the design person refers to it as grace and compassion. And that's why Venus, as morality, grace, and compassion, elegance, we have a second line, and that's why you see it's called the School of Charm. How do we decode all of this? If we're talking about Venus, then consequently, these are all those social standards and what will be liked and what will be, if it doesn't appeal, then what will be in trend. And so since the theme is the elegance of style, then from 22, we are very much connected to 25, but not much. This is our theme of lightness of air, individual style, subtle behavior, insufficient subtle behavior. It's all about that story related to charm and style. This will all be about the theme of movement. Movement. And not just movement, but social standards in 2025. And so being charming like that, having your own style, but at the same time being charming, because 2022 is our key to individuality, and that's why it's important to have an individual style, not in a cutesy way. But like, for example, Adam Sandler showed up to the Oscars in shorts while everyone else was all dressed up in suits, following the dress codes. Do you know what that means? Adam Sandler is, if anything, a role model. He has channels up to. This is a channel for a role-playing creative model, and he also has a profile. And so when he showed up in shorts, he essentially said that nature is more important than the dress code. And all those suit-wearing times, all those old materialistic outdated principles, all those suit-wearing times where there are dress codes, they're gradually fading away. And this is the era of the suit. It is being replaced by an era of individuality. And this era of individuality, of course, brings a story related to expressing one's nature, because it is becoming the currency of the new time. It's all about how individual you are and how you express your style. And here, when Venus enters the sign of the year, we immediately understand that social standards, the ones who will be liked on a collective level, are those who express themselves in unconventional ways. This suits them very well, and they are a creative role model, a role model of their own style. They embody charm, grace, elegance, and style. So this is the theme of social standards. It will be, 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 it will be. It will be, it will be, it will be, it will be, it will be. It will be, 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 will be. There was a transit in the transit of this year. By the way, 2022, here I am somewhere for myself. I made a note about that. And by the way, 2022, this is also an emotional theme for us, because this is our emotional center. And so the theme of acceptance and compassion for others, that's also a story related to 2022. And so, of course, it will be very emotionally challenging for others, those who are in the shadows. It's again about shaking up the nervous system. Those who are resilient in their nervous system and remain emotionally calm this year will, on the contrary, help others emotionally unwind. Well, it's about unwinding, leading to a kind of calmness. And that's why To achieve inner peace this year, you need to embrace something related to breathing, because 2022 is very much connected to the respiratory system. And so breathing in some themes that interest you, maybe it will be Hatha Yoga, or maybe it will be some other breathing practices. This is essentially about bringing your nervous system into order. So this is a cheat code. In this 25th year, they will, roughly speaking, shake up the nervous system, but the knowledge of what will happen, as well as the breathing practices used this year, will help to go through this 25th year with all its emotional experiences, and to gain such emotional flexibility and honesty with yourself and with others. With yourself and with others, yes. Well then, let's move on. I'm reading your questions and we're moving on to the next planets. We're still going for now. About personal planets. So what I've shared is all personally affects each one, like a general program, because these are personal planets. We still have the moon left. It's also personal. It's in such a code, it means now we will talk about it. I have it in the notes, writes Kuznetsova. Elena and Fortified Shin, you or with you, and so figure it out over there. It's not possible for 25 and 45 to be in the same lunar nodes. 46, you're correcting yourself. Masha, is the sacral undefined for the year? It's a manifesting year, so the sacral is undefined. So, oh, I have goosebumps. Thank you for the broadcast, please. I'm reading how interesting it is to listen to you. I love you very much, and I love you all very much too, because in fact your love is my energy to talk about all this. I feel the same way about individual style. Yes, 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 yes. We will see more and more of what is real. This old era of suits is fading away and giving way to how individual you are. And we talked about this back in 2019, that the era of characters will come where everyone will play their own role. And when we move into the virtual world, for example, when we transition to a virtual reality, who really cares how much money you have, what car you drive, or what label you wear? There you can have any car, any label, like any house, any bank account you want. There. It will be important to have a character, but if someone tries to create a character from their mind, just imagining themselves, then, of course, nothing will happen in that virtual world. This is the dense world we're all gradually moving into. Maybe just the words virtual world, or maybe it's augmented reality glasses. In reality, it will be some kind of symbiosis, or maybe it will be different in ways no one knows yet. I was still in that time. So, of course, in that world where there are absolutely different principles, the children who are being born now are already living by completely different principles. They are no longer living by material principles. They won't worry about running out of money in their accounts. They have absolutely other topics. And so when this virtual world starts asking for players, it's important to know who you are. Creating a player from your mind will be a theme. It will be a false theme. It will be fake. Still, you won't be playing this made-up character all the time. You know, it's just not that great. But if you just realize your nature, you will get to know it, and you can discover it through him. For example, in the course, Live Your Design, I came on March 20th, discovered my nature, and started to act on all of this. Ooh, I've connected with my nature. You live a happy life, and when you transition to a more expanded world, you're already a normal player, a character there, and naturally, it's urgent for you. Well, that's a cool topic. I don't care what the future will be like, says Yura. Yeah. What should you do if you don't have an inner authority? And even more so, it's only 3% of people who don't have an inner authority, who lack internal support, and their decision-making mechanics are taken outside of their nature and given away. And how all of this works, well, it's hard to explain here, But in the course Live Your Design, we can explain it. We have more time there. We have the opportunity to prepare for such an important question, provide a lot of initial data and answer. And that's why for those who don't have inner authority, it's even more important to come and study themselves. And therefore, if you don't have inner IPA, authority, it's even more important to come and study yourself. It's a really great broadcast. No questions, just delight and interest, writes Veronika Zolotarevskaya. Masha, let's talk about the course. About the year, it's clear, I'm amazed, but we need to talk about the strategy. Authority, of course, come to the course, and we will just 2750 channel. Well, okay, you're listening, Masha, you see 2750, and I see it too, but this is a consciously unconscious channel. If I add unconscious activations here now, first of all, it's not necessary to explain how they affect us. If you have this understanding, then good for you. But many people don't have this understanding, and that's why explaining how unconscious activations work is difficult. Yes, people still won't be able to see it because they are unconscious. So there's no point in it. That's why the transit of the year is mostly red with black. The Tarandita webinar cost me 999 rubles. Planets in the note. Will I feel the sun and the earth more strongly? Well, of course, yes. January 21st marked the beginning of the year. Since the beginning of the year, I've been drawn to asceticism. So how do we understand love for our body now? So the body doesn't need more than it needs. You need to understand the body and all its urges. You'll understand beautifully, and you'll be in that healthy asceticism, or in which you have come to be. Moreover, Vishnu asceticism is very interesting. That's 62. In general, the topic of asceticism is great. I'll write about healthy asceticism through mythology. Lakshmi was fierce, and she was like, as it's fashionable to say now, he had a kind of privilege, not her. There are gods and parents, some kind of big gods and parents. She's such a privileged one, and she has everything. She lives in the shadows of channel 3536, unconscious consumption. She has everything, but she's already so bored, she doesn't know what to do. Hungry for new experiences, not knowing what to do, lacking emotions over K. So I want to get to the point I want Vishnu as my chosen one. And by the way, that's a conscious God. And as he comes to him, this is the unconscious, still Lakshmi, in the total, global, in misunderstanding of herself and how much she needs for life. And to be in that healthy asceticism while her program isn't coming, that's Vishnu. He tells her no, and she just fell into a deep asceticism, completely renouncing everything, and eventually came to awareness. And so they started to whistle, and so to be in that healthy asceticism, but at the same time to receive all the blessings of the abundance of this world, even from God, Vishnu. This is exactly the story of healthy asceticism. So you need to discard what you feel and not rely on your mind. I'm going to go to the next time and take with me, and there the mind starts to talk to you about the past. He lived something in the past. He hasn't even been in the new time yet. He doesn't know that experience. So you need to talk about what to take into the new time, and we would, roughly speaking, they would move to the island with 6 suitcases each, bringing all sorts of junk into this new time. But it won't work that way. That's not asceticism. So coming to that healthy asceticism, feeling what you need, that's the point. To take God, Vishnu for myself. In every sense of the word, we move on to, because this is our theme of the moon, and the moon is responsible for how we will move. What will our focus of attention be this year? In general, this is our theme of communities. And as Sasha Pedicure rightly said, Nish, if you look at the red side of this transit, it connects with 27 and forms the channel 2750. And this, roughly speaking, is a spoiler, both on a conscious and an unconscious level. This year we came to be in communities, in the right communities. I'm giving a spoiler that the program for the year 2026 will be channel 4037. And this is the channel of community. And so in some communities, this will be the drive of this year, because precisely the Black Moon as the drive of this year is just championship. The theme 50 pas, the theme of communities. You know, like 50-50. Now I'll show you where it is 50-50. For so our focus every single day will be making our way right over here, and let's remember now. Let's see what it's called. Here we have the 6th line, and this is called leadership. The power to maintain oneself and be a leader. Since we have the 6th line, it means being a leader and a role model, but through harmonious relationships. In essence, the Black Moon tells us that it says if you have principles of relationships that are untainted, first and foremost at the tribal level, then you also apply it in your external world, these untainted principles, and as a role model, you build the right community and find yourself in the right communities. And this is your drive for this year, because it's the Black Moon to Moon, and it's very important what kind of communities you are in. Because you see, since this is the theme of the 6th line, this topic is transpersonal. So communities, it seems like, but that's what I'm saying. So community is like the right community is the engine. And the most important thing is that communities are based on the right untainted principles. As soon as you enter this very year, since this year is about undensifying everyone, we find ourselves undensifying, cleaning up at a detailed level. At the detailed level, we are already undensifying and cleaning up this year. And Herix, we ended up in some communities, you with distorted principles. We, of course, felt this with our internal authorities. But our mind is close to you for no reason, because it's beneficial because of the money, and you stayed in those communities. And that's it. And you, all of you, this clean structure, you sucked in all these communities, and all of this is not moving anywhere. And if you in the right communities, then I can really push you forward because of the Black Moon and because you have your own clean principles. All these centers absorb the right community and the right principles. So distorted principles, that's the whole story, because they're really for a person. Everyone will feel it all with their body, and therefore leaving such communities is just moving. It's better to be alone than to be in the wrong communities, because after all, the 6th line is here, and therefore the 6th line, it can be, as it were, a lone wolf, because in the 6th line there's a theme of separation. So it's better to be alone than to be in some distorted communities that might even be corrupt. Therefore, the topic of corruption is a topic, distortions, and kind of, no, now I'm going to talk about corruption. Alignment and the opposite. All right. Let's move on. Communities are important. By what printer? We have Mercury here, and we'll see it too. And Mercury is the voice of this, of the year, and how it has come and what will be on everyone's lips, because Mercury is about messaging, and here Mercury is 50. And what about 154? What 50.6, 154.6? What 50.6, 54.6? What 54.6, 54? This is all about the theme of the tribe, all about relationships, and 54.6. It's also about who you walk with on your path. And so, in essence, this year, speaking in the language of Mercury, and speaking in the language of the moon, it's like he's saying, listen. It's important who you walk with, who you essentially rise up with, and the community you're in matters. And so the theme of communities will be even more present, focusing on smaller groups rather than large corporate communities. It's like the theme of the 5th line is fading away, and K is coming in S. So the theme is about these small communities, because after all, it's all about 54 and 50 in this tribal story. It's never collective, and only the heart can understand. So roughly speaking, you can understand through your inner associations where your community is and with whom you should go and move forward. What's really interesting is that the 54th, this is the theme we have in Mercury. I've already moved on to Mercury, and this is also everything that will be on everyone's lips and what each person will talk about, because this is Mercury. For me, it's personal, what each one is about. We'll be talking, and it's really interesting that the 54th, we have like the 25th year of the snake. The 54th gene key is called the path of the snake, and it describes, this is the path in the material and spiritual world, describing the balance between the spiritual and the material. And a shift to one side, for example, towards the material, will lead to global greed. And the shift to the other side will lead to spiritual greed. In other words, if we talk about Mercury this year, about the message of this year, everyone will be talking about either material greed. And the idea of accumulation is the theme of the 54, which has a reactive nature. It will either be that, or on the contrary, joy, a kind of spiritual joy, where money doesn't matter, material things don't matter. What's important is this spirituality is about the shift to one side or the other. That's exactly what will sound false. And when we see, again, through our inner feelings, we orient ourselves to where a person has balance, where the spiritual and the material are. And so we don't deny the material, but we embrace the spiritual, being in that kind of balance. And this is broadcasting 54.6%. This is the person we need to be in partnership with this year. We will go with those who are in balance, and we ourselves will also be in balance between the material and the spiritual. We don't deny the material, but at the same time, we don't completely immerse ourselves in it either. Here are the these are global spirituality, and considering the 54th through the lens of human design, it's like a bride who wants to get married. And so the theme is to fall into greed, to think only about the material, to worry, to dive into global material accumulation. Or on the contrary, to dive into spirituality and completely deny that matter is anything at all. That's all, of course, shadows, 6, and that won't lead anywhere. Only this balance, and balance from inner feeling with whom you are on the same path. Which ones do you go into? Deals. Which ones do you go into? Relationships. Well, we've finished with the personal planets, and we're slowly moving on to the planets. Transpersonal is already Jupiter. We already have the trans planet, personal ones with it, and it's 30. This topic is about the throat center. And so the story related to Jupiter is already a story connected to matter. This is already a story connected to the material due to abundance. It will not be. We have 5 about the personal process, and 35 is our topic about the throat. And so the way you express yourself on a collective level will also be stories related to the grandmothers next year, this year, 25, because Jupiter is about matter. And so how you express yourself, are you coming from progress or from regression? And so all kinds of progressive technologies, if you resonate with them. Therefore, the topic will develop very strongly this year in the second half of the year, generally in the thousands. And so the theme of resonating, and there will be other progressive things as well. Those who resonate with these progressive things will be supported by Mercury, or will be exploring, because this is a theme of exploration. And so by exploring, speaking, and expressing yourself from progressiveness, this is, of course, a story related to Jupiter. And therefore, with the material theme. And 35 will be the theme of progress, or the theme regression, like the new age and the old age, and people who will cling to these old principles, who won't be able to let go, will certainly, on the Jupiter level, experience regression. And regression in the material sense, the principles that won't be able to dissolve like that will definitely experience regression, on the Jupiter level. And regression in the material sense, So holding on to old principles, living by old principles that are gradually fading away, not knowing the new times, not knowing your own nature, not knowing what your nature is. This is all, of course, a story related to unconsciousness. And so on the Jupiter level, this is, of course, regression, including in the material sense. So awareness is progress and material progress. Unconsciousness is regression, including material regression. So, of course, in the end, that's the formula for Jupiter 35.1s. Saturn is in 63. This is exactly what we were talking about regarding Saturn, that it's a story related to the mental plane, 63.6%. Again, the sixth line, and this is a story in the shadows related to doubts and connected to the mental process. Moreover, we will see that our only key in the mental process is 63, and that's why Saturn represents punishment, and there are a lot of doubts that lead to mental psychoses. This will indeed be a story at the collective level. And so the support is not in the mind, not in that mind, the doubts under the influence of this transit. The support tag is only on yourself. Moreover, 63 is also a story related to collective logic. And so all the collective logic will be coming from the external world. If it doesn't resonate, if it raises doubts, then, of course, don't follow that logic, but instead go with your inner authority. And so by following your inner authority, Saturn will not punish, but Saturn, this is punishment in the theme, in mental pressures related to doubts, and with the aim of finding the truth, and ultimately driving oneself to more psychosis. Many people, in short, will lose their minds on a collective level because, well, that's just how Saturn is, because it punishes like that. Yes. Uranus? Oh. I was making all sorts of notes for myself, and now I've mixed everything up. Here's more. I wrote to myself, the world of Mercury, if we look at, so according to this little book, this topic is about selectivity. And so selectivity here is specifically about the material level, not cluttering all forms of your life, but rather, on the contrary, to condense them. And at the same time, not to fall into spiritual greed. Don't go out, wait. I think I said it. And so Uranus, uranium, 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 umadio. This is our throat topic. I'm talking again about manifestation and about your expression. After all, the key genes are called the alchemy of simplicity, and this is the person who came to express himself in a simple way, but at the same time individually, not to complicate anything. This is essentially the manifestation of genius. And when a person expresses themselves like this, as a genius, they will be expressed on a very large scale. Because Uranus is about some kind of uniqueness, about some unusual topics. And so if there's going to be something complicated, then everything complicated will be this year. It's false, and that's why expressing yourself is difficult. At all levels, there's some complicated editing in the videos, complicated explanations. It's complicated, difficult. The composed style, including the style of expression and maybe even the style in clothing. So, when everything is complicated, it will all be false. This year, and this is this complication, it is again, the 23rd is directed towards the mental, and therefore this is another stone in the garden that the mental will suffer. And that's why the complication will also hit hard. From mental pressure. So, don't complicate things, but rather simplify them. I'm not looking for easy ways. If you suddenly hear from someone, I'm not looking for an easy way. Everyone, man, is in the shadows of the uranium program. This year, he's making everything more complicated. Well, you're such a fool for not looking for an easy way. On the contrary, this year I'm looking for easy ways. And I'm even looking for easy ways to find easy ways. So this is how you should properly search this year, by simplifying everything, and moreover, simplify from an inner truth. If a person lives in falsehood, in false scenarios, living a false life, then they will simplify things. It's not a genius. He will simplify somehow standardly, and this will be, on the contrary, an arrival to some kind of primitiveness. If a person lives from their true self, then they consequently simplifies brilliantly, and that's why brilliant simplification is what it will be. The highlight of this year, and those who can express themselves like that, making the complex simple, expressing themselves simply. And that will be the highlight of the next year. Again, you see your own style. We have Neptune, and our theme is spirituality, because Neptune is about spirituality. We've already talked about this topic of emotional crises, and it's called the formation of a person. Therefore, through new spirituality, through going through a crisis, and Neptune brings this order from nervousness, you can move on depending on, or into compassion and humanity. And so through all of this, by the way, I can see you, Yura, probably up to 36. Oh no, Yura, I can't see you. I think you're reflecting there. And so in the end, we come to the year 25. To new spirituality, it's impossible to talk about a new person when we're dealing with a role model of psychoses and disturbed nervous systems. Or on the contrary, a person of the new age with a calm nervous system who is capable of being aware of such emotional themes, to carry compassion for others very calmly, to be individually expressed, to be merciful. Thus, coming to the point that Neptune, through new spirituality, gives us such a person of the future. Well, in the end, the last planet is Pluto. Pluto is that Hades, which in essence brings about transformation. And so this is the ultimate role model of limitations. And this indicates that a cycle is coming to an end. And next year, in 26, we'll be at 41 in Pluto, and we've already talked about 41 today. This is a new cycle or new fantasy. So 60.6%. Pluto is the theme of the end of one cycle, and therefore this theme is also the Great Depression. 60, this is the theme of our adrenal glands. And therefore Pluto, as if for a long time, already has been influencing our adrenal glands, producing adrenaline in the body so that we can go through these transformations. Or we could be in a deep depression. Therefore, this is the Great Depression of this year. Or on the contrary, an inner relaxation, a loosening, and a transition into a new dimension, which will begin in the year 26. So this whole topic is exactly the one I just talked about, the theme of this year. So I'm reading what you wrote, and we are all with you. Planets in the nodes. So we calculated this. Transiting nodes. Will my Sun and Earth be stronger? Yes. Anyone else who understood the harmonious part? Thank you, Masha. Like a signed mom, she goes through a full checkup of the body, even though she's not inclined to do so. I decided for myself that I won't be shopping on the marketplace. Well, trust yourself. Well, of course, yes. Why keep this junk? We need to let go of the baggage so that this hot air balloon doesn't rise too high. So, of course, it's all about finding balance. Balance, and this theme of loosening up is really the motto of this year. Which city should I use for the calculations for this year? Well, you need to, in short, it's too long to explain how to do it. Just look it up. I have 56 on the red Earth. I really like this year. It's so cool because, in fact, the 24th was like that, like everything. But there, the integration contour is 5710, like a channel, and a channel is still about contours, feelings, and that's why everyone will be getting new sensations. You just need to be in a place where those feelings bring positive emotions, not negative ones. So it's an attractive year, emotionally attractive, but for everyone, it will be their own attraction. A couple of toothaches. So I feel these waves of depression, what to do. Be in those places and with those people that you feel are yours. And if you're lying to yourself and you're in a place where you shouldn't be, you feel it inside, you shouldn't be there, because now you can't lie to yourself anymore. You can lie to anyone, but not to yourself. And if before, well, I kind of lied to myself, like, I don't like these people, but I'm with them anyway. I don't like this place, but I'm here. Well, I don't really like doing this, but I do it. Well, and so on. These stories are related to not loving yourself. Before, when all of this was happening, there was a time when it was actually considered normal. Well, because suffering and being in such an aggressive environment, that was a planned evolution. Now, it's a completely different topic. And so, of course, if you're in such situations, you kind of push yourself into it. About these very things that you, on the contrary, they stress you out. So don't be where you don't need to be. Now it's serious. Now you really need to feel good. Nero. You can start the course from scratch because it's a basic course. Tren for 2 years. Almost all of this has happened. They are already working as if this were the case because the feeling has already arrived. It's really a year for me. We'll see about the personal year. So it's a cool year for everyone, according to you, Masha. Yes, yes, yes. Kundalini has really come into Kundalini Yoga this year. Thank you. I also started yoga this year, Hatha Yoga, and I saw how much it has changed us. Big changes have happened. But we'll see you all in our courses, either here in the live streams or in the live streams. Come to YouTube. It will be very interesting and informative. Such a challenging time. Knowledge helps to keep from going crazy, but we'll see each other.